Hello and welcome. This is my video tutorial covering rendering techniques. If you have a design and want to render it to look fairly realistic, this video might cover some cool tricks for you. So yeah, hang on, buckle up, let's go. So, you like spaceships, eh? Well, so do I. So I thought I would show you how I go about when I render one of these sketches out. This one is made the same way as one of my other tutorials is showing designing spaceships. So what I did here was I grabbed one of those sketches and used the techniques that I show in that video. I just transform bits into place into another angle, and this way I can get kind of a free line drawing from the earlier one, but from another angle. It's not perfect or anything, but it's good enough to use as a guide when I'm supposed to render this thing out in Photoshop. Yeah, so I was thinking I should show you some using some photos or yeah, here I got some photos of roofs, buildings, like little details, planes, of course. I love planes. All these bits you can steal and put in there. Helicopters, great for round stuff here. Cool things on the fuselages and the tails. You got the sensors here I can put on the side of the spaceship. I don't know what much of these do, but they look cool. Some photos from an air show that I took. Nice panel lines you can use. So once we get to that point, then here's a shot of Seattle you can use as a base for the background. So first, maybe it's good to crop this image so we have some sort of a flow when we look at this spaceship. So I like to put things that I want some focus on 1/3 in here. So I like the cockpit area, so I'm gonna keep that in there 1/3 in here. So I'm going to start using this photograph and work on a scene or a stage for this object to be in. And I think it's super important that you kind of create this scene so you know what light is actually shining on the object. I've seen a lot of people trying to render out something on a white background or a gray background, and it just doesn't give them the story of where the light is coming from. Because if you have an object in 100% white, then you're basically inside a white sphere, and light would be coming from everywhere, and the ship would be pretty much lit from everywhere. And that's the best way I can explain that, I guess. So here I'm just trying to create a horizon. I want this guy to be above a planet. That gives me some variation. I can put sunlight on the planet and or have a dark sky, or even work with some atmosphere, even though this is in space. I'm gonna cheat and put some clouds, not actual like fluffy clouds, but some atmospheric variation in there. So one thing to think about is the puzzle of lights and darks. So I don't want the whole spaceship to be in sunlight. I want part of it to be in shadow and part in sunlight. So anything outside the scene could create such lighting. There could be a space station or a ship flying nearby that casts this shadow on top, one part of the spaceship. So it's good to have some imagination of, or some acceptance of, that anything could be outside the scene affecting the spaceship, even though it doesn't seem logical of what you see in the painting itself. So here I just want to grab the silhouette of the spaceship, and I'm going to keep the silhouette locked and paint within it. So I'm actually just gonna cut it out of the background here and darken it so I know where where the silhouette is. And already we're having a sort of a hint of where this spaceship is and what kind of light we have going on here. So you can alt click a layer inside of the spaceship layer, maybe lock it, and then paint within it, and you'll never spill outside the silhouette. So I'm just using big soft brushes for now and selecting areas that I want to work on. So here I want some sort of light casting up against the bottom of the ship. Maybe this area here is lighter than the nose, and if I do decide to make a dark nose, then I can play with start puzzling the image. So I'll add a brighter background underneath it to pop the nose, or if I want to go the other way, I can darken the cockpit here since it has a very bright horizon there. Just going back and forth with a big soft brush, figuring out what should be dark and what should be bright. Using the lasso tool a lot so I don't spill out over anything that I don't want to paint on. Figuring out here if the top of the spaceship should be lit up by a sun that is outside the canvas, maybe far above us. Then you would have a bright top here. Here underneath, I'm going to just put a dab of paint like this and transform this soft brush stroke so I get some perspective on it. It gives me more variation than just a straight gradient. So you can do this on top of the spaceship too. You can just like, oh, I want the spotlight to hit this part, and just transform a round soft brush on top of the panels there. And here I'm just trying to find a good color for my red spaceship. I know it's going to be red, I guess. I mean, I could change my mind, but if it's going to be red, I want something to complement it. So I'm I'm going with a safe blue here. So we got the bright blue in the horizon, so that gives us a hint of that we should go with maybe a dark tail or something. As you can see, not focusing on the form really, since the line drawing is having the form in it. So just placing out the big brush strokes and solving the puzzle of light and dark. So clearly there is something underneath, outside the canvas, that is shining a big spotlight on the bottom of the spaceship. Kind of makes it dramatic, I guess. Figuring out how much of the sun should actually shine on top of the spaceship here. Just tweaking the colors a little bit. I do want the image to pop. I tend to work very saturated at first and then toning it down when I'm pretty much done with the image, and try to tone all the saturation down. It depends if I want to do it or not, but so I'm brightening up the horizon a bit more here. I'm going to quickly color match this ship now, which is gray. I like the big brushes in Photoshop. Here you can use giant soft brushes to cover the whole spaceship, or even here you can see maybe there's an ocean beneath the spaceship, and the sun is glaring on the waves down there. That it creates a nice highlight, so we can start popping the spaceship. See, I'm darkening that part up here. Or down. It's good to concentrate a lot on this part, because it's going to bite you in the ass if you don't get this right at first. I like to go through all these layer settings here, soft light or hard light, and it looks a little velvety. Just so it's fairly close, because we'll go over this so many times with a brush anyway, so I want to try darken the horizon here and see if we can move things around. add here. I'm adding some sort of atmosphere. Even though it's space, you can have fun. It's already much more different since a few moments ago, so this is a bit moodier image.